I think I am audible now. Am I audible? Right. Giving to all of you. गिरीश आप कैमरा ऑन कर सकते हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ठीक है? राइट. So those who are new, okay, they can put their cameras on. There is no any problem. So from today we are going to start this segment of general studies, that is world history. Okay. So today's class will basically be the discussion over the syllabus and the strategy which we need to follow to read this particular segment of the GS, and we are also going to discuss that how this segment of world history can be helpful in covering other modules of GS, right, where it can be applicable. Okay, so there is one thing that is static world history, and the second part is how we can apply the segment of world history, okay, in covering the other areas of general studies. Okay, so the simple syllabus that UPSC has mentioned in its syllabus book is displayed here on this PPT. Is the simple syllabus that has been given. Okay, this module is important for mains only. I think this is a very basic information you all are familiar with, right? So this is not a part of your prelims examination. This is not in the syllabus of your prelims examination. This is given in the syllabus of your mains exam only, right? So here there is no any need to prepare PYQs. We don't need to cover PYQs here. So this entire segment will be more analytical, right? It will be more analytical. This is you can say that, okay, the entire discussions will be thoughtful discussions in this module. Now let's look at the syllabus, and then I will further do a micro analysis of the syllabus. So in the syllabus, you see here what has been written. History of the world will include events from 18th century. Do you recall something? In the previous lecture in modern Indian history, I told you the first chapter was the India in 18th century. We also call it modern India. And here it is saying what? 18th century. Important events in 18th century. Basically, the world history which we need to study here is modern world history. Like modern Indian history, this is what? Modern world history. It means it's asking us, okay, to know the particular events from the 18th century onwards, such as, now examples are given. And what are these examples? So look at these examples. One example is Industrial Revolution. The second example is World Wars, First World War and Second World War. The third example is redrawal of national boundaries, because we all know that in 1870-71 there was the unification of Italy and Germany. After First World War ended in 1948. A treaty was concluded that is known as Paris Peace Treaty, and by this Paris Peace Treaty, many new nations came into existence. Okay, in the same way, when Second World War ended, many new nations came into existence. Okay, when the process of decolonization started, many colonies will start getting freedom. In this way also, many new nations emerged. So the syllabus has been written in a very comprehensive manner. Okay, so we need to enter into the details. Here deep diving is required to understand this syllabus. I will further elaborate it. The second important point that has been written here is colonization and decolonization. Now this needs a holistic understanding of how this process of colonization developed, okay, and which were the countries who were promoting this exploitative tendency of colonialism. That was the French, Dutch, English, all. So the nature of colonialism, was it similar, right? So all this we need to understand, that French also set up their colonies all over the world. English also set up their colonies all over the world, right? Africa was divided and distributed among the European powers in this age of new imperialism by this Berlin Conference 1884-85. We also need to discuss that. तो syllabus पे नहीं जाना है. Syllabus तो ऐसा लिखा हुआ है कि जैसे कुछ पढ़ना ही नहीं है, right? But if you will read this world history holistically, trust me, you will be able to cover at least 20%, 30% of the areas of GS. Okay, and you will realize in the classes that how it is done. The next is political philosophy, like communism, capitalism, socialism, and here what has been written, etc. इसके अलावा भी कुछ पूछ सकते हैं, राइट? एंड आई थिंक दैट यू फ्रीक्वेंटली केम अक्रॉस these words: capitalism, socialism, communism. What is difference between socialism and communism? Okay, there are different forms of communism also, different forms of socialism also: utopian socialism, scientific socialism, Fabian socialism. So you need to understand all these terminologies. Again, this is a part of your world history syllabus. Here etc has been written. Okay, so we'll further elaborate. And finally it's asking their forms and effect on society. For example, what was the effect of colonialism? What was the effect of capitalism? Okay, what was the effect of socialism? Russian Revolution 1917, right? Chinese Communist Revolution 1949. In Indian national movement also we see there was an impact of socialism. So there are a lot of things that we need to integrate in this topic. So this is not all static, like I said it earlier, that in books, in content, you will get the content which has been written in a very static manner, and you will read it again and again and will forget also. You will not be able to use it in the examination hall. So here I will not distribute a single piece of paper, no content. ठीक है, मेरी बात समझ गए ना? Not a single piece of paper is needed. We will discuss only discussions are needed, and you will be able to develop the ideas. Now this is the syllabus, but I need to break down this syllabus, that how we can understand it better. Okay, so now I am coming to the analysis of the syllabus in details. Okay, now one word that I am using here is modern world history, right? This word I am using, like we discussed about a word, that is modern world history. Okay, previously we discussed about a word now, that is modern world history, and previously we discussed about modern Indian history. This is what? Modern world history. So first we need to discuss that what is this concept of modern world history, right? So what is the meaning of the modern? So for this we need to understand a timeline, and that is like Indian history, here also we see in world history there are three different phases. One is ancient world history, one is ancient world history, the same like ancient Indian history. In ancient Indian history, Gupta period is known as the golden age in India, yet this matter is debatable, but the people know it as a golden age due to its achievements. Okay, now I will relate the things here. The second age is what? Read this: medieval world history. The second word is medieval world history, and the third word here is modern world history. Modern world history, modern world history. So there are three terminologies here: ancient world history, medieval world history, modern world history. The timeline which I am going to discuss with you, some writers also vary. They put different timeline, but the thing is wrong. These are the different perspectives of the different writers. So here I am writing a year, that is 3600 BC to 500 AD. I am writing a timeline here, that is 3600 BC to 500 AD. This is ancient world, right? And in modern world, here we will write 500 AD to 500 AD to 1500 AD. 500 AD to 1500 AD. Somewhere you will also find this word 1400 AD. 1400 or 1500 AD. You can write both. 1400 or 1500 AD. Make your running notes. कोई बुकलेट मैं नहीं दूंगा, कोई कंटेंट नहीं दूंगा, ठीक है? This is 500 AD, this is 1400 or 1500 AD. Now modern world is in modern world here. Now we will continue the same development as 14th 15th century AD and onwards. 14th 15th century AD and onwards. Clear? 14th 15th century AD and onwards, right? Now in next class I will discuss the concepts. I am discussing the timeline only, we are discussing the syllabus only, so I will only give a glimpse of the topic. From next class we will enter into the detail. that what are the developments in ancient world history. Here what we see is that the political system, the society, the economy in context of Europe was very much progressive. यहाँ पे सब कुछ क्या था? Good था. Everything was progressive. Greek and Roman literature, right? They were the classical form of literature. The society was progressive, right? It means the elements of medievalism were absent. Feudalism was not in its dominant form. There was monarchy, there was aristocratic system, but this aristocratic system was progressive, right? So this phase in European history is called golden age. ये world history का क्या है? Golden age. So that is golden age. This is golden age. Here what we see, the concept of golden age. Okay, and here Greek and Roman literature were the classical form of literature. Greek and Roman literature were the classical form of literature. We will also use the maps, but after understanding the concepts we will use the maps. Greek and Roman literature was the classical form of literature. Society was progressive. Clear? Political system में क्या था? There was monarchy, there was aristocratic rule, but still it was progressive. For example, in ancient Indian history, all of you are familiar with the concept of Mahajanapada era, 600-300 BC period. There were two kind of states there. One is what? Monarchical states. The second are also monarchical states, but they are called republics. There were confederate of republics, and they were more progressive in comparison to the one set of states. So there were two set of states. For example, Lichwi was a republic. तो वहां तो ruler तो था ही ना. There was monarchical setup, but it is still called republic because, okay, the public opinion, you can say that the decisions were taken collectively by group of confederate chiefs who were the Kshatriya rulers, clan of Kshatriya rulers. So obviously there will be limitation of ages, but this limitation cannot be taken in an absolute form. With limitation there is some progressiveness, and that's why this is called golden age. In next class I will discuss in detail what is this concept of golden age. But what will happen here in medieval age, there are different empires in Europe also, like Western Roman Empire, Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire. In next class I will discuss all these concepts with the maps. Here what we see, that in medieval era what happened, demerits entered or evil elements entered, or you can say that the feudalism, okay, the feudal elements started gaining prominence in the society. Catholic Church, the church and its representatives became more powerful, they became more prominent. So here changes are taking place, and these changes are what? They are like evils are entering into the society, evils are entering into the political system, evils are entering into the economic system, all was happening. Feudalism में क्या होगा? Economy perform ज़्यादा बेहतर करेगी कि it will decline? It will have some limitation. Obviously it will have some limitations. So this phase is, you can write here, the phase of medievalism. The phase of medievalism. And in this phase of medievalism, what will happen? Aristocratic elements will become more prominent. Okay, you will see a cartel of a king, cartel of the religious class, that is the class of priestly class, you can say, priestly class plus feudal lords. They will develop this cartel. Now religion will start determining other aspects of life. Religious authorities will gain prominence. ठीक है, सब मिलके ग्रुप बना लेंगे. इससे क्या होगा? The life of the common man, okay, will get affected. Use of reason will be promoted or discouraged in this phase. Use of reason will be discouraged. Orthodox elements will be promoted, and the center of power will also shift here. Center of power भी shift होगा. This all will happen. It means what? Here the European people were in an enlightened state. They were in an awakened state, जगे हुए थे. That was a little bit progressive, and here they slept. Evils entered means what? They slept, and that's why this is called medievalism. इसी को हम क्या कहते हैं? Medievalism. And what we see here that From 14th to 17th century AD, today you need to develop all these string of facts. These are very much helpful in understanding the concepts. From 14th to 17th century AD, right? Again, some progressive developments will take place. And these progressive developments are known by the name of Renaissance or Renaissance. These progressive developments are known by the name of Renaissance. You must have heard this word, na? Renaissance, Renaissance, rebirth, revival. What is rebirth? यहाँ पे क्या है? वो stop है. There is a temporary break. This is golden age. So this is what? Rebirth. This is what? Revival. This is what? Reawakening. क्योंकि बीच वाला phase क्या है? Medieval phase. So this is rebirth, revival, reawakening. And a particular word is used for this, and that is revival of ancient Greek and Roman literature. That's also symbolic here. That here also Greek and Roman literature, different forms of literature, when they will be promoted, when use of reason will be promoted. ठीक है, अगर restrictions लगा दोगे कि मैं जो बोल रहा हूँ हर वो बात फिल्टर की जाएगी 2 घंटे के बाद, तो क्या मैं खुल के बोल पाऊंगा? क्या मैं पढ़ा पाऊंगा? मेरे दिमाग में चलता रहेगा, कुछ ऐसी बात ना बोल जाऊं जो डिस्प्यूटेड हो जाए. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? मैं अपना ओपिनियन देने से बचूंगा, राइट? So this is happening here. This is what Renaissance means. What you can write here. I will discuss in detail in the next class. Right here, revival of ancient Greek and Roman literature. That is Renaissance. Revival of ancient Greek and Roman literature. In medievalism, what will happen? Church will put restrictions. Okay? If your beliefs are against the orthodox beliefs and practices of church, what will happen? Will be executed. चर्च का दोस्त कौन है? पोप का दोस्त कौन है? राजा. दोनों मिलके आपको सूली पे लटका देंगे. फिर ये प्रॉब्लम है. Now what will happen in the age of Renaissance? Youth will be encouraged. कि सोचो भाई, you need to think, you need to develop all aspects of your personality. And when you will be able to develop all aspects of your personality, when there will be no any restriction on the use of reason, you can develop all aspects of your personality. Okay, so this will be promoted. You will be like the hero of the Mission Impossible movie, Ethan Hunt. ठीक है, वैसे बन जाओगे. You will be a good fighter. You will be expert in bike riding. ठीक है, कार रेसिंग भी करोगे. You will be cyber expert also. ठीक है, and you will be romantic and charming also. Painter बन सकते हो, कुछ भी बन सकते हो. So youth will be encouraged that you need to develop all aspects of your personality. Okay, use of reason is being promoted here. This is progressiveness, and this progressiveness is identified with what? Modern Europe. Got it? That is progressiveness. And the next phase of this development is known as Age of Enlightenment. So these are not two separate concepts. These are the two same concepts. One is the previous stage of development and the second is the later stage of development. So this period, 14th to 17th century AD, this is Renaissance, and write this, 17th, 18th century. 17th, 18th century is known as Age of Enlightenment. Age of Enlightenment. So what we see here, Renaissance and Age of Enlightenment, both are the two faces of the same coin. This is the previous stage of development and this is the next stage of development. Renaissance and Age of Enlightenment. Next stage of development. So this is one chapter. But in your syllabus, what has been mentioned? Important events in which century? 18th century. Now, this is micro analysis of the syllabus. And that's why I said that we should discuss the syllabus a lot. Syllabus or question paper. Okay, this will help us in understanding the themes. 18th century. Now I am asking you, tell me some of the most important events, some of the most important events of 18th century in Europe. कौन से important events? Now you will give me some examples. What are some of the most important events of 18th century? Process, yes, Greece. Answer this question. Some of the most important events. Very good. देखो, there are so many important events. For example, tell me when the process of decolonization started. When the process of decolonization started. What is decolonization? Colonies we have already discussed in the modern Indian history class. Decolonization means the process of freeing up of colonies. Colonies के independent होने के process को हम क्या कहते हैं? Decolonization. And it started in 18th century. Can you suggest me one example? कौन बताएगा example? Very good, very good. American War of Independence. Write this. Very good. American War of Independence. और आप लोग कैमराज ऑन रखोगे और डिस्कस करोगे. दिस इज द बेसिक ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ माई टीचिंग. ठीक है. प्रसाद वितरण कार्यक्रम नहीं है, कोई नोट्स नहीं मिलेगा, जरूरत ही नहीं है. बच्चे लाइन लगाए रहते हैं, नोट्स दे दो, नोट्स दे दो, नोट्स दे दो भैया. ठीक है. आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का टाइम है, आप खुद ही नोट्स बना लोगे. एआई में सर्च करो, टॉपिक फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन, सारा नोट्स आपके सामने है. ठीक है. So this is what American War of Independence. So here we can write, basically this is 70, 75, 76 to 82. So this period is known as American War of Independence. And America was a colony of Britain, Great Britain. So America किसका colony था? It was a colony of Great Britain. And it got freedom from the Great Britain. Getting freedom means the right of self-determination of a colony now has been validated. अब उस कॉलोनी को अपने भविष्य के बारे में निर्णय करने का अधिकार है. That is the decolonization. So here America becomes free in 18th century. So America was a free nation. Okay, the process of decolonization started. But this process of decolonization will become fast, intense when? After the end of Second World War. वहां से ये process of decolonization क्या हो जाता है? This becomes fast. Okay. Second World War ended in which year? 1945. And between this period, a lot of colonies from Asia and Africa got freedom. बहुत सारी colonies आजाद हुई. उनमें एक अपनी country भी थी 1947. India. India got freedom or independence. So this is one part. So that is an important event. Now you tell me that America become a free and independent nation in 18th century. Did it become a modern nation too in 18th century? Yes or no? How many of you are saying yes? Yes or no? Write in chat box. Yes or no? America became a free and independent nation. Was it a modern nation too? It was free and independent nation. It introduced various such features which were progressive, but slavery was still validated in America. And for that, American people have to fight a civil war. There was a civil war in America. So American Civil War, write this, American Civil War. The main reason behind this civil war was slavery between north and southern states. I will discuss in the topic slavery. It means after independence, slavery was still validated. And civil war period is what? 1861 to 1865. Which century is this? This is 19th century. First half or second half? This is second half. 19th century. Second half. This is very important. 19th century second half. So you always remember that in 1775-76, America becomes a free and independent nation, but it was not a modern nation because slavery was still validated. Okay. And after this American Civil War, okay, the people will fight for the people here fought for the abolition of slavery. So there are two topics here, and that is a topic of our syllabus now. This is microanalysis. Events in 18th century. Do we need to study American War of Independence? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, that is a very progressive revolution. We need to read it. There are impact or significance on our constitution also. American Constitution. Declaration of Rights. There are so many things that we need to know here. So that is our first chapter, right? This is the first chapter. This is the micro analysis of syllabus, and this is the first chapter, American War of Independence and American Civil War, that was fought on the issue of abolition of slavery. This is event in 18th century. This is event in 18th century. Now the second example, can you give me the second example of important event? Yes, किसी ने बताया था अभी इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन. वेरी गुड. इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन. यस, प्लीज आस्क. अभी मैंने क्या कहा? अभी एक सेकंड. आई एम डिस्कसिंग व्हाट. ठीक है, सिलेबस. अभी सिलेबस बता रहा हूं आपको. आई एम नॉट डिस्कसिंग द टॉपिक. मेरे क्लास में क्वेश्चन बनता ही नहीं है. मेरी क्लास के बाद क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछोगे, चलो ठीक है, यहाँ मेरे पास खूब टाइम है. आई एम डिस्कसिंग द सिलेबस. अभी याद करो इवेंट्स को. इन दैट टॉपिक आई विल डिस्कस एवरीथिंग, राइट? नाउ दिस पार्ट सेकेंड इज इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन. व्हाट इज द टाइम पीरियड ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन? अभी हम क्या कर रहे हैं? वी आर ट्राइंग टू लर्न द स्ट्रिंग ऑफ फैक्ट्स दैट विल हेल्प अस टू अंडरस्टैंड द थीम. इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन फर्स्ट इन ब्रिटेन and in which year? To 1760s. Which century is this? 18th century. So we need to understand industrial revolution. Clear? Don't you think that industrial revolution in Britain and the colonial rule in India, the British colonial rule in India, both were the simultaneous to each other? So was there any linkages we need to understand or not? This may be a question. So we need to relate what? Industrial revolution in Britain and, right, colonization of India. Colonization of India. Industrial revolution in Britain and colonization of India. What was the relation between these two? Was there any relation? Is there any linkages? And this is a question that is based on interdisciplinary approach. So we need to discuss that. So industrial revolution, this is an important topic. Clear? And industrial revolution was the byproduct of an ideology. What is this ideology? Write in chat box. What is this ideology? Capitalism. So when you are reading industrial revolution, you must know what is capitalism. Clear? So that is also the syllabus that has been given. Capitalism. Okay, so write this. Capitalism. It means if you read industrial revolution, you need to know about this ideology, capitalism. Yeah, so we need to understand this ideology, capitalism, industrial revolution. Both these two topics are linked with each other. So that is topic number 2 and topic number 3, industrial revolution and capitalism, right? There are different stages of industrial revolution, different phases of industrial revolution. We will discuss in our classes. Usko baad mein karenge. Now, what is the third and the most significant event in world history in 18th century? Again, write your answer in chat box or unmute yourself and you can just give reply. तीसरा सबसे important event. Very good. French Revolution. French Revolution. It is very important in the context of history of Europe. You all are familiar with one particular year, that is 1789. This is French Revolution. Which century is this? 18th century. Now, in syllabus, it was mentioned or not? French Revolution लिखा था कि नहीं लिखा था? नहीं लिखा था. So we need to study it or not? We need to study it. Why we need to study it? There was an important personality in Germany. I will discuss about that statesman. That was Bismarck. And Bismarck used to say that when France sneezes, entire Europe catches cold. ठीक है? कोरोना की तरह था फ्रांस. ठीक है? When France sneezes, entire Europe catches cold. जब फ्रांस को छींक आती है तो पूरा यूरोप बीमार हो जाता है. It means the events in France were affecting the entire Europe. Clear? And the events that were taking place in Europe at that time were having impact on the entire world. So France, we need to study. French Revolution, we need to study. And the most important thing is that this French Revolution was not one revolution. It was a set of 3 revolutions. So when you are saying French Revolution, it means it was R1 plus R2 plus R3, ये 3 revolutions. It was R1 plus R2 plus R3. Basically it was a set of 3 revolutions. R1 in the year 1789, R2 in the year 1830, and R3 in the year 1840, 880. There were 3 revolutions: R1, R2, R3. 1789, 1830, and 1848. So this is an event in which century? 18th century. This is an event in which century? 19th century. This is an event in which century? 19th century. Okay. Now, if someone asks you that in your opinion, what are the 2 most important events in the 18th century? Europe, okay, that had profound influence on this entire, okay, events in Europe as well as all over the world. कौन से 2 ऐसे events थे जो सबसे ज़्यादा important थे? Now you can choose these 2. This can be Industrial Revolution and this can be French Revolution, because they have important consequences. They will affect a chain of events and we need to understand those chain of events. For example, capitalism. Reaction against capitalism क्या था? देखो क्यों ये important है, समझो इस बात को. Capitalism is an ideology, and what is the byproduct of capitalism? Industrial revolution is the byproduct of capitalism. और इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन से जो एक्सप्लॉइटेशन होगा उससे एक नई आइडियोलॉजी पैदा होगी और उसका नाम क्या है? रेस्पॉन्स अगेंस्ट द इविल इफेक्ट्स ऑफ इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन will give birth to a new ideology, and that is what? Socialism. And the impact of socialism is what? Russian Revolution 1917. It was the first socialist revolution of the world. And after this, what will happen? USSR. I will also discuss in class that how this USSR came into existence, when it came into existence. After this, what we see? After this, we see Russia in First World War, right? We see the role of Russia in Second World War. We see, okay, the role of Russia during Cold War. Cold War is an important event or not? Cold War is an important topic. Clear? And the another stream that is affected by socialism is communism, and the communist revolution of China, 1949. 1949. Impact of this idea on the freedom movement of the colonies होगा कि नहीं? For example, in Indian national movement was the impact of socialism? Yes. Indian national movement में था तो socialism का impact था कि नहीं? भगत सिंह, Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Chandra Bose, they were inclined towards socialism. Bhagat Singh openly said that मैं तो communist ideas में believe करता हूँ. Jawaharlal Nehru openly said that I am a socialist. The formation of Congress Socialist Party in 1934 within the ambit of Indian National Congress. Here, all this indicates the impact of this ideology on the national movements also. And in our political structure, what we see in India, democratic socialism. तो यहाँ भी दिखता है. कोल्ड वॉर हुआ, बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी हुई. तो ये बताओ चेन रिएक्शन को जन्म दे रहा है कि नहीं कैपिटलिज्म? Capitalism, industrial revolution, socialism, socialist revolution, and all this is happening. Russian revolution is a 20th century revolution. We need to know about this Russian revolution. Chinese revolution 1949. Okay, we need to know about this revolution. Now one revolution is American revolution, one revolution is French revolution, one revolution is Russian revolution, one revolution is Chinese revolution. These are important revolutions. These are two important events in Europe: Industrial Revolution and French Revolution. If you are asked this question, you will mention these two important events. Why I am saying French Revolution is also important? Because it will also give birth to a chain of reaction. And what is that chain of reaction? French Revolution will also give birth to a chain of reaction. And what is that chain of reaction? After this revolution, okay, democracy will not come here. Republics were not established, okay, and now there was a phase of transition which we will discuss in our classes. Finally, what will happen in France? Rise of Napoleon. ये होगा rise of Napoleon, and Napoleon will introduce important changes in Europe. नेपोलियन विल चेंज ऑलमोस्ट द इंटायर पॉलिटिकल मैप ऑफ यूरोप, पूरे यूरोप के पॉलिटिकल मैप को अकेले ही बदल देगा. नेपोलियन विल इंश्योर इन important military conquest. He will change almost the entire political map of Europe. That is a very interesting thing. Role of Napoleon in Europe. That is one part that we need to understand. Now, after Napoleon, what we see, this phase in Europe that is known as 1804 to 1814-15 is known as Napoleon's era. तो नेपोलियन का इतना इंपॉर्टेंस मतलब किसका इंपॉर्टेंस? फ्रांस का इंपॉर्टेंस. So that is Napoleon's era, 1804 to 1814-15, Napoleon's era. Now after this, decline of Napoleon, defeat of Napoleon, then here we see Vienna Congress in the year 1815, Vienna Congress in the year 1815. And after this, again, another revolution in France, that is R2, that is in the year 1830 AD. Again, there is another revolution in France, R3, and that is in which year? 1848 AD. So basically, French Revolution means 3 set of revolution. Now tell me, French Revolution was progressive in nature or not? Progressive tha? Yes, it was progressive. What was the slogan of the French Revolution? Tipu Sultan bhi inspired tha French Revolution se. Planted a tree of liberty in Seringapatanam. You all know this. Tree of liberty was a symbolic tree. It means he was familiar with the ideas of revolution, that is liberty. It was a progressive revolution. अब ये बताओ कि 18th century में there is a revolution, French Revolution. 18th century there is another progressive revolution, that is American Revolution. ये progressiveness कहाँ से आया? From Renaissance and Age of Enlightenment. तो syllabus में तो ये भी नहीं लिखा हुआ है that you need to study, but you need to study what? Renaissance and Age of Enlightenment, because the impact of these progressive movements will be seen on French Revolution, will be seen on American Revolution, will be seen on Russian Revolution, okay, will be seen on the process of unification of Italy and Germany. Progressive movements or ideas का impact हर जगह दिखेगा. The impact can be seen on the formation of nation states. So we cannot leave this topic. So this topic has not been given in your syllabus, Renaissance and Age of Enlightenment. But still, you need to discuss this topic. इसके बाद भी ये topic आपको जानने की ज़रूरत है, Renaissance and Age of Enlightenment. Not in syllabus, but still we need to know. Is it clear? Then what will be easier for us? It will be easier for us to understand that how revolution took place in France. It will be easier for us to understand that how revolution took place in America. तो इसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि ये टॉपिक हम पढ़ें. So obviously we will discuss this topic Renaissance. We will discuss this topic Age of Enlightenment. We will discuss this topic Industrial Revolution. We will discuss this topic French Revolution. Right? Capitalism, socialism. Now, there is another important development in Europe, and that is in the year 1870-71. And what is this? This is what it is called process of unification of Italy and Germany completed this year. Process of unification of Italy and Germany completed this year. 1870-71. बताओ ये अचानक हो जाएगा क्या? Is it a sudden event? No. For example, independence of India in the year 1947. अचानक मिल गई आज़ादी हमें? नहीं. Okay? It was a result of gradual process of development. In the same way, unification of Italy and Germany was also a result of gradual process of development. ये क्या है? Italy and Germany, two new states. The rise or birth of two new states on the political map of Europe. ये पहले political map में थे ही नहीं इटली और जर्मनी कहीं, right? So this is the birth of two new states on the political map of Europe, Italy and Germany. And how it happened? So it happened, okay, the impact of Renaissance and Age of Enlightenment will be there. And finally the French Revolution, that is R1, R2 and R3. This will have an impact on this 1789, 1830 and 1848. इसका भी impact होगा, R1, R2 और R3 का impact होगा. गॉट इट? फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन का भी इम्पैक्ट होगा. So all the events that took place between this period, they will give birth to new nations, Italy and Germany. जो डेवलपमेंट यहाँ हो रहा है बिटवीन 1848 टू 1870 71, इससे क्या बनेगा? इटली और जर्मनी. एंड वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड इटली कैसे बना, जर्मनी कैसे बना, हाउ नेशन स्टेट्स आर कमिंग इनटू एग्जिस्टेंस. सिलेबस में लिखा हुआ है formation of new states, nation states. Obviously we need to discuss that. Clear? So this is one topic that we need to discuss. Now after this we need to discuss that, write this, important developments that took place between this period. This is the phase of new imperialism. In class I will discuss with you that what is old imperialism and what is new imperialism. We will discuss the differences. This is phase of new imperialism. यही है phase of new imperialism. So what are the important developments here? What are the important developments here? We need to understand. All those important developments will result in what? यहाँ पे जो कुछ होगा उसका impact यहाँ दिखेगा. That is what? First World War. Between this period 1914 to 1918, this is First World War. So if you need to understand that what are the factors responsible for the outbreak of First World War, you need to understand what? Important developments that took place between this period 1870-71 to 1914. When you read this, you can easily understand. Now this World War, First World War will end in 1918, and now there will be a very important treaty here that is known as Paris Peace Treaty. So we need to discuss this treaty also, because this treaty will introduce significant changes. This treaty will be able to give birth, नए nations बनेंगे, ठीक है? New nations will come into existence. Important changes will take place after this. So we need to understand that what was the impact of this treaty. Some historians have also said that the seeds of Second World War were present in the provisions of Paris Peace Treaty. इसका मतलब सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर क्यों हुआ, ये जानने के लिए भी क्या समझना जरूरी है? पेरिस पीस ट्रीटी. So obviously we need to read this in detail. You can also write here that the reasons of Second World War lies in the provisions of Paris Peace Treaty. The reasons of Second World War lies in the provisions of Paris Peace Treaty. The reasons of Second World War lies in the provisions of Paris Peace. इसका मतलब कि between this period, that is 1919, this is Paris Peace Treaty year, and Second World War starts in which year? Second World War starts in which year? So the answer is 1939. That was the year na, of Second World War, 1939 to 1945. This is the year of First World War, 1914 to 1918. So there are two world wars here. This is World War I and this is World War II. Now we need to discuss here what are the important developments during these two world war periods. One topic, or trust me, this is going to help you a lot in your preparation. Okay, so write this, that important developments that took place, important developments that took place during these two world war period, important development that took place during these two world war periods. We need to discuss important development that took place during these two world war periods. Tell me, what are the important developments? कुछ relate कर पा रहे हो, याद आ रहा है कुछ? सोचो, just think. और बहुत सारा कंटेंट पढ़ना बंद कर दो, लिख के लगा दो कमरे में, इंफॉर्मेशन पैंडेमिक. इतना ज्यादा इंफॉर्मेशन है, पागल हो जाए आदमी, डर जाए एग्जाम से. ठीक है, इंफॉर्मेशन पैंडेमिक, इंफॉर्मेशन ओवरलोड. ठीक है, और टीचर्स की भी अलग अलग वैरायटी है। माफिया बनाने वाले भी टीचर है, राजा बनाने वाले भी टीचर हैं। अपने चॉइस से टीचर चूज कर सकते हो आप लोग। मैं ना माफिया बना सकता हूँ ना राजा बना सकता हूँ, ठीक है, आईएएस बना सकता हूँ आपको। चलिए, और इसके लिए बड़ा ज़रूरी है जो मैं चीज़ें बता रहा हूँ, एक एक चीज़ को समझना बड़ा ज़रूरी है। और क्लास का माहौल बहुत लाइट रखना है, तो बीच में आप लोग बात भी करते रहो, ठीक है, क्योंकि मैं घर से पढ़ा रहा हूँ, मैं खुद ही बोर हो जाता हूँ, ठीक है। तो थोड़े बीच में बोलते रहो, क्वेश्चन वगैरह पूछते रहो, बताते रहो, आंसर देते रहो। चलो, तो इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट्स दैट टुक प्लेस ड्यूरिंग दीज टू वर्ल्ड वॉर पीरियड्स क्या है? एक इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट क्या है? हैव यू हर्ड अबाउट दिस? नाजिज्म इन विच कंट्री? जर्मनी। फासिज्म इन विच कंट्री? इटली। फासिज्म इन इटली, नाजिज्म इन जर्मनी। फासिज्म से कौन पर्सनालिटी रिलेट होता है? मुसोलिनी। नाजिज्म से कौन रिलेट होता है? हिटलर। सो दैट इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट डेवलपमेंट. It means that rise of fascism, rise of fascism. This is also an ideology. Ism means what? Ideology. ठीक है, ये हो गया इटली एंड द पर्सनालिटी इज मुसोलिनी. फासिज्म इटली एंड द पर्सनालिटी इज मुसोलिनी. इसी तरह से राइज ऑफ न्यू रिलीजन, या सॉरी, राइज ऑफ न्यू आइडियोलॉजी, दैट इज नाजिज्म. इन विच कंट्री? जर्मनी. जर्मनी. एंड द पर्सनालिटी हियर इज नाजिज्म, जर्मनी, हिटलर. ठीक है, I will in class I will discuss that what is the similarity, what is the difference. ठीक है, in simple terms both are called fascist ideology in general terms. So this is fascism in Italy, Mussolini, and Nazism in Germany, Hitler. और उधर क्या आ चुका है 1917 में? देखो, during the period of First World War in the year 1917 we see here Russian Revolution. यहाँ पे हम क्या देखते हैं? Russian Revolution. In which year? 1917. तो रशियन रिवॉल्यूशन से विच आइडियोलॉजी? सोशलिज्म. इट मींस दिस इज द फर्स्ट सोशलिस्ट रिवॉल्यूशन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. इट मींस बिफोर दिस, बिफोर 1917, socialism was only an idea. It was not a practical idea. But in 1917, this idea was implemented. It became the political ideology of a country. The system of administration, economy, society, religion, all were developed on this ideology. So this is what practical implementation of socialist ideology for the first time anywhere in the world. And this place is what? Russia. So one ideology socialism, one ideology fascism, one ideology Nazism, और एक ideology पहले से ही है. And what is the name of that ideology? Capitalism. कौन सी आइडियोलॉजी है? कैपिटलिज्म. झगड़ा किसमें था पहले से? कैपिटलिज्म एंड सोशलिज्म. क्लियर? एंड नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन? फासिज्म एंड नाजिज्म. फासिज्म एंड नाजिज्म both are capitalist ideology or not? No. Okay, they are not core capitalist ideologies. So they are also anti-capitalist. Anti-capitalist भी एक particular sense में है. I will discuss with you anti-capitalism. Okay, Mussolini and Hitler got the support of businessmen. ठीक है, but this is anti-capitalist ideology, and this ideology is anti-socialist also. Anti-socialist also. Capitalism, this ideology is anti-socialist. Socialism, this ideology is anti-capitalist. So in this way, there are different set of ideologies and which came into conflict with each other. That is called ideological conflict. So between First World War and Second World War, there was ideological conflict, and this conflict was between which ideology? तो देखो, socialism and capitalism, one set of conflict. और देखो दूसरा क्या है? When Nazism and fascism will become prominent, powerful, when these ideologies will become powerful, तो इनसे निपटने के लिए दोनों साथ आ जाएंगे. कौन कौन? कैपिटलिज्म एंड सोशलिज्म. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? सामने क्या था? नाजिज्म एंड फासिज्म. When they became powerful, so what will happen? Capitalism and socialism will come together. Otherwise, what we see here, right? The third important development here is conflict between ideology. That is the most important theme that we need to understand. Conflict between different set of ideologies. One set is what? Capitalism and socialism. Second set of ideology is what? Capitalism plus socialism against Nazism plus fascism. Capitalism plus socialism against Nazism plus fascism. This all equation I will discuss in our classes. Capitalism plus socialism against Nazism plus fascism. Conflict of ideology. Was conflict of ideology a reason for the Second World War? Yes. Were the aggressions of Mussolini and Hitler responsible for the outbreak of Second World War? Yes. So when you read these three topics, you will be able to understand that what were the factors that were responsible for the outbreak of Second World War. जैसे ही ये बात समझते हो, आपको ये बात समझ में आ जाएगी कि what were the factors that were responsible for Second World War. Clear? So this is also a topic. We need to know that which group participated in Second World War, what is the reason responsible behind this outbreak of Second World War, and what happens. Look here, this is the time period na, 1939 to 1945. Here what we see, the Second World War ended, and now after the end of Second World War there are important developments. और वो important developments क्या है? The process of decolonization will start, or it will become more fast or rapid. It will become more fast or rapid. Decolonization तो start हो चुका 18th century में. Birth of America, freedom from Britain, that is also decolonization. So you can write here that the process of decolonization that started in 18th century becomes more rapid after the conclusion of Second World War. It becomes more rapid after the conclusion of Second World War in 1945. This process of decolonization will become more rapid. ये ज़्यादा rapid हो जाएगा. It will become fast. It will become more rapid. Right? It will become more fast. It will become rapid. क्या होगा यहाँ पे? एक एग्जाम्पल लिख रहा हूँ. देखो 1945 to 1960. देखो there historians have again divided the process of decolonization in different phases. मेरी बात समझ गया? जिसमें decolonization 1990s तक हुआ है. The colony will start getting freedom till 1990s. So this is the first phase. और इस first phase में क्या हुआ? A large number of colonies in Asia and Africa get freedom. और इसी में क्या था? India was also a colony of Britain ना? So India got independence in which year? 1947. A large number of colonies will get freedom here during this period 1945 to 1960. Okay, so that is an important point. Now what are the factors responsible for this decolonization? We will also discuss in our classes, and those factors will be helpful in understanding the developments in modern Indian history also. कि इंडिया के आजाद होने के पीछे क्या रीजन था? Was it only the effort of Indian National Congress, or it was the effort of revolutionaries also? Yes. It was the effort of different ideologies also. Yes. Effort of peasants also. Efforts of tribals also. Right? Efforts of those people who sacrificed their life for the cause of the nation, but they are still unknown. Okay? Unsung heroes of our freedom movement. Plus international impact on our freedom. What are the international factors that contributed to the freedom or independence of India? ये भी तो समझना पड़ेगा कि कौन से international factors थे. So when you discuss this topic, you will be able to understand better that how India got independence, which factors, which international factors were responsible for this. So we'll also discuss this. Now, after 45, what will happen? We see formation of UN. Okay, 24 October 1945, UN Day. You all know this fact. Formation of UN, United Nations. Acha, when United Nations was formed, it was basically what? Okay, a set of there were 6 organs at that time. United Nations General Assembly, United Nations Security Council, United Nations Economic and Social Council, United Nations Trusteeship Council. ये Trusteeship Council को आगे जाके हटा दिया गया. International Court of Justice, and all this. So there were 5 main organs of UN, and you can say that there were different set of conventions and other things that helped and supported UN. So we need to understand everything. Whatever you read in environment, the special programs and conventions of UN, UNFCCC, पढ़ते हो कि नहीं? United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, right? When you read the topic immigration crisis, so there are also, you read about, okay, the role of international bodies, okay, okay. So there are special programs, there were specialized bodies of UN, there were important conventions, and there were 5 principal organs through which UN operated. So we need to discuss all this. So इससे क्या होगा? You will get a very sound idea of UN, that this international body, and all the other programs, conventions, and specialized bodies that were affiliated with UN. I will discuss all this in detail. So UN was set up in 1945 so that the reoccurrence of such kind of devastating world wars could be stopped. And during war, UN will also help in providing peacekeeping mission. UN का एक रोल ये भी था. But was it the first international organization that was established for this purpose? No, पहला नहीं था. When the First World War ended, what happened? First World War के बाद हमने क्या बनाया था? League of Nations. Second World War के बाद हमने क्या बनाया? United Nations. This. After First World War, we formed League of Nations, then United Nations. So write this. We will also discuss about League of Nations, why League of Nations failed, and United Nations, UN. We will discuss about League of Nations, why League of Nations failed, and UN. Okay. Now, what will happen after this? This is one set of information. Now, the another set of information is that here we see ideological conflict. Ideological conflict. Capitalism, socialism साथ आ गए, and they fought with Nazism and fascism. Here what will happen? Second World War. Hitler committed suicide. Mussolini was shot dead. Nazism, fascism ended. So Nazism ended, fascism ended. Now 2 important ideologies are there. One is capitalism and the another is socialism. 2 ideologies बच गए, capitalism and socialism. Now again what will happen? After 1945, ideological conflict between these 2 ideologies. इनके बीच में ideological conflict होगा. So we see here what? Ideological conflict again. Ideological conflict again. And this ideological conflict is seen in Cold War and the developments that took place during this Cold War. So we need to know that. Cold War क्या था? Okay. Now I will start this discussion in our classes with Atlantic Charter, 1945, with Truman Doctrine, 1947, with the formation of NATO, 1949, with the formation of Warsaw Pact, 1955. This all we will discuss in our classes. ठीक है? ये सारी चीजें डिस्कस करेंगे. What is the Atlantic Charter 1941? What is Truman Doctrine, which became the foreign policy of America? 1947. Basically, this is known as the formal beginning of Cold War. Truman Doctrine क्या है? एक तरह से that is the formal beginning of Cold War. And when Cold War ended, बताओ, पता होगा आपको 1947 से कब ये end होता है? Disintegration of USSR 1991. तो दिस इज अ प्रोलॉन्ग्ड वॉर. 1947 से 1991 तक ये वॉर चल रहा है. दैट इज कोल्ड वॉर. सो वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट वेरियस strategies were used during this Cold War, in which one strategy was what? Propaganda, misinformation and disinformation. Between 2 World War period, Hitler and Mussolini both used what? Again propaganda machinery, misinformation and disinformation. And today also it has been one of the most important global threat in 2024. And this is not the important global threat for 1 year. For the next 10 years, it is one of the most important potential global threat misinformation and disinformation. Now, if you will not understand history, so you cannot realize the intensity or the impact of this misinformation and disinformation. ठीक है, कि कितना खतरनाक हो सकता है, इसका इम्पैक्ट आप नहीं रियलाइज कर पाओगे. बट व्हेन यू विल रीड वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री, you will realize the impact of this. Plus, there are many important developments today. For example, the entire world between this period 1947 to 1991, the entire world was fearing that third world war might outbreak at any time. थर्ड वर्ल्ड वॉर हुआ नहीं, बट लोग डर रहे थे कि कभी भी थर्ड वर्ल्ड वॉर शुरू हो सकता है. So there was a state of fear, doubt and suspicion in the minds of the people, and there were various expressions of this conflict, and this conflict was not direct, it was indirect. That's why it's called Cold War. In our classes we will discuss that what is indirect conflict, okay, what is called surrogate wars, okay, all this we will discuss in our classes. So this happened 1947 to 1991, Cold War. Cold War ended. This is a kind of prolonged indirect conflict. Prolonged indirect conflict. ये conflict खत्म हुआ. And इसके बाद क्या है? 1991 से लेकर 2012 तक, you can say that peace was maintained to a large extent. Complete peace तो हम नहीं कह सकते, but peace was maintained to a large extent. 2012 के बाद some disturbances started. ठीक है, there were some challenges in some parts of the world, and this year 2022 2024 again we see what the number of international conflicts had increased a lot, and this is all time high. 1945 के बाद इस तरह का कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कभी नहीं रहा है after second world war. This is all time high. 1945 to 1991 there was Cold War. There were expressions of different kind of conflicts. 1991 to 2012 there was a kind of peace, not complete peace, but yes, peace to a large extent. From 1912 to 1922 we see some minor expressions of the conflict, but this period 2022 to 2024, here we see this is not world war, but the world is at war. This is not world war, but between this period what we see, the world is at war. Clear? और इस पूरे के पूरे disturbance में, in this phase, in this entire phase, you will find that major Middle East plus Africa is the reason. Clear? So the two areas, one is what? Middle East, this is called major or larger Middle East, I will discuss in the concept, plus Africa region. These are, okay, two regions which are most volatile when it comes to peace and stability. सबसे ज़्यादा प्रभावित क्षेत्र है Middle East and, okay, that Africa. For example, Russia Ukraine crisis. झगड़ा कहाँ से शुरू हुआ था? NATO membership. याद आया कुछ? Russia Ukraine crisis, NATO membership. So we need to understand ना कि what is NATO. We need to understand कि इसके पहले क्या हुआ था यूक्रेन में, and then what is the reason for the present conflict and all this. इसके बाद क्या है? Second important reason unrest का क्या है? Israel Palestine, that is also going on, and this is also a topic that is in history. How Israel was created as a nation. समझना होगा ना? How Israel was created as a nation. The topic in your syllabus is what? Rise of nation states. Various new nations were created, their boundaries were changed during First World War, Second World War. A lot of changes were made in the political map of Europe. And you will find that the third important reason which is famous for unrest, there is peace and stability are challenged frequently, is what? Africa. So you need to understand that what is, why Africa? Why there are so many ethnic conflicts in Africa? So you will be able to understand all this about Africa when you will be familiar with this Berlin Conference 1884-85. Berlin Conference से आप अफ्रीका को समझोगे. फिर मिडिल ईस्ट, पेरिस पीस ट्रीटी, लीग ऑफ नेशंस एंड ऑल दिस, यहाँ से मिडिल ईस्ट की प्रॉब्लम्स को समझेंगे. It means that a good understanding of world history will give you a very good command over the international relations. And it's not only like that, इसके अलावा भी टॉपिक है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल इन मॉडर्न इंडियन हिस्ट्री, आज हमने सुबह की क्लास में डिस्कस किया था कि व्हाट हैपेंड आफ्टर 1945 1947. नेहरूज पॉलिसी, नेहरूज फॉरेन पॉलिसी, ये सुना होगा आपने, नेहरूज फॉरेन पॉलिसी. ये भी आपने सुना होगा, पंचशील सुना होगा. इसके बाद और इसमें जोड़ लो नैम. दिस इज ऑल्सो एन इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक. नैम 1.0, NAM 2.0. What is the difference between NAM 1.0 and NAM 2.0? ठीक है, नॉन अलाइनमेंट मूवमेंट. ओके, so we need to understand कि NAM है क्या. एशिया अफ्रीकन कंट्रीज, राइट. we need to understand what is third worldism. third worldism क्या है, we need to understand. When you will read about this third worldism, you will come to know about what you will come to know about the formation of various regional forums. जैसे ब्रिक्स बना तो क्यों बना, G20 क्यों बना, G77 क्यों बना, एशिया पैसिफिक इकोनॉमिक कोऑपरेशन क्यों बना. You will be able to understand all these developments. तो ये भी समझना है. Okay, so after 1945 there are a lot of developments which are very important for our exam context. So if we will discuss in detail that what happened between this period 1945 to 1991, obviously we will be able to relate it with the contemporary challenges before the world. So I will discuss a lot of topics here, that all I am not mentioning here. Okay, but I will discuss a lot of topics, right? And after this we will enter into basic fundamentals of international relations, because IR all of you are reading. So I will take 8 classes where I will discuss with you after world history. This will be in continuance. I will discuss with you all policies, all programs, the basics of the policies and programs. The IR fundamentals I will discuss. Okay, because you all are familiar with the current developments, so I will discuss everything, right? Fundamentals, at least 7 to 8 classes, and that will make your classes perfect. So that there will be 20 classes for world history, plus I will add 7 to 8 classes, it may be 10 also, where we will discuss all the fundamentals of the foreign policy, right? So that is the basics of IR, और बाकी आप classes में पढ़ते हो. So this is one part. Okay, now I hope you are familiar with the syllabus कि क्या पढ़ना है. Renaissance, age of enlightenment, yes, we need to understand, right? The concept of modern Europe, we need to understand, right? French Revolution, we need to understand. R1, R2, R3, we need to understand. 1789, 1830, 1848. American Revolution, we need to understand. Civil War in America, we need to understand. Okay, we can also discuss the development of constitution in America, वो भी थोड़ा सा discuss कर सकते हैं. Then we need to understand what? American Revolution, French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, capitalism and industrial revolution. Got it? And then evil effects of industrial revolution, then we'll discuss socialism. Socialism के बाद क्या discuss कर लेंगे? Russian Revolution 1917. Clear? So in this way we will move forward. Unification of Italy and Germany, we will discuss. Important developments that took place between 1870 to 1914-15, we will discuss. Then we'll be able to understand that what are the reasons responsible for the outbreak of First World War. We will also discuss about Paris Peace Treaty. We will also discuss about League of Nations. We will also discuss about why League of Nations was formed, right? League of Nations was successful in realizing its objectives or not. If League of Nations failed, what was the reason for the failure of League of Nations? Then we will discuss important developments that took place between First World War and Second World War. There we will read about growth of Nazism in Germany, under the leadership of which leader? Hitler. Growth of fascism in Italy, under the leadership of which leader? Mussolini. And ideological conflicts between these two World War period. Conflicts between capitalism, socialism, Nazism, fascism. Then Second World War started. What are the factors responsible for the Second World War? Okay, the formation of United Nations. This all we will discuss. And again, the ideological conflict start in the name of Cold War, because there was the absence of direct military conflict between these two powers. And we will see the various expressions of Cold War. For example, Vietnam War was the expression of the Cold War. Okay, Soviet presence in Russia, and how US involved itself in, Russia's presence in Afghanistan, Soviet Union's presence in Afghanistan, and why US, okay, involved itself in that. We need to understand what is Berlin blockade. We need to understand what is Cuba Missile Crisis. We need to understand what is the role and functions of UN. What are the main principal bodies of UN? What are the specialized programs of UN? What are the important conventions of UN? Right? So we need to also have a comparative study about this League of Nations and the United Nations. इसके बारे में भी थोड़ा comparative study करने की जरूरत है. Right? We will also discuss about the process of decolonization. It becomes fast after Second World War. Okay, important reasons for this. और चाइनीज रिवॉल्यूशन भी डिस्कस करेंगे 1949, क्योंकि चाइना बहुत परेशान करता है हमें. ठीक है, तो उससे हम समझ पाएंगे चाइना में क्या डेवलपमेंट्स है. राइट, सो वी नीड टू डिस्कस ऑल दिस important countries that were involved in First World War, that were involved in Second World War. This is one part. Now I want to make you one thing clear, is that when we talk about GS World History and when we talk about optional World History, so what is the difference? Core fundamentals will always be the same. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? Whatever you will read here in GS World History, this is core fundamentals. So these core fundamentals will be the same, plus what are the new additions that were required here? So new additions, you will read what? Historical sense. जैसे debates, जैसे अभी गिरीश ने एक क्वेश्चन पूछा, that is related to historical sense, historical debates, the opinion of different historians. Okay, what they talk about the French Revolution, what they talk about American Revolution, the important debates. Clear? And you can say some more details are to be studied. थोड़े बहुत और details थोड़े depth में जाके पढ़ने होते हैं. Right? So that is important. Okay, so there is a few difference here. Here you will get at least 60 to 70% of optional syllabus, and here you need to add only 30%. ठीक है ना? And GS is different, World History optional is different. Why it is different? Because here I have already told you that you should have a basic understanding of the historical sense. Plus some topics are needed to be studied in depth. Just Age of Enlightenment hai. In GS you will read the, you can say, brief idea about Age of Enlightenment, but this is in syllabus of UPSC. So in UPSC you need to discuss in detail what is Kantian perspective. Optional history में कांट के बारे में डिटेल में पढ़ो, रूसो के बारे में डिटेल में पढ़ो. दे में आस्क यू दिस क्वेश्चन. रेनेसा से इन डेप्थ क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते. एज ऑफ एनलाइटनमेंट से दे फ्रीक्वेंटली आस्क. ठीक है ना? सो देयर इज सम डिफरेंसेस इन जीएस एंड ऑप्शनल वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री. नाउ द सेकंड इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग, एक आइडिया हो गया आपको जीएस सिलेबस का. ठीक है, एंड दिस क्लास विल बी हेल्पफुल इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग द चैप्टर्स. दूसरा इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट क्या है कि व्हाट इज द रेलेवेंस ऑफ रीडिंग वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री. रेलेवेंस क्या है? बिकॉज स्टूडेंट्स ऑफन मेक कंप्लेन कि सर एक दो क्वेश्चन आते हैं और आजकल तो वो भी नहीं आ रहे हैं इन मेंस. यूपीएससी इज नॉट आस्किंग, सो वी आर गोइंग टू स्किप. व्हेन यू स्टार्ट स्किपिंग दीज एरियाज विच आर सो मच टू डेवलप अ गुड अंडरस्टैंडिंग, ठीक है, तो व्हाट विल हैपन? यू विल बी लैग्ड बिहाइंड इन दिस रेस. ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, जो ये बात कहता है कि मत पढ़ो, क्वेश्चन नहीं आ रहा है, वो पहले से वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री पढ़ के बैठा होता है. मेरी बात समझ गया ना? तो एग्जाम में अगर उसको जरूरत पड़ेगी वो यूज कर लेगा, और आप क्या करोगे? आप सोचोगे यार इन्होंने सही तो कहा, क्वेश्चन नहीं आया. जो ये बात कह रहा है वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री मत पढ़ो, वो पहले से वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री पढ़ा हुआ है, आप उससे ज़्यादा बेटर पढ़ लो. एंड इन माई क्लासेस देयर इज नो नीड ऑफ बुक्स, नोट्स. ठीक है, वी आर कंप्लीटली फ्री फ्रॉम दैट. ठीक है, बुक्स और नोट्स की जरूरत नहीं है. यू विल कीप मेंटेनिंग रनिंग नोट्स हियर. नाउ अगेन आई एम डिस्प्लेइंग द सिलेबस हियर. लुक एट दिस सिलेबस. हिस्ट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड विल इंक्लूड इवेंट्स फ्रॉम 18th सेंचुरी. यही इंफॉर्मेशन इंटरनेट पे रहता है ना, इतना ही रहता है. क्या समझ में आएगा इससे? सिलेबस समझ में आएगा. 18th सेंचुरी, इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन, वर्ल्ड वॉर, रीड्रॉल ऑफ नेशनल बाउंड्रीज, कॉलोनाइजेशन, डिकॉलोनाइजेशन. अब आप रिलेट कर पा रहे हो. पॉलिटिकल फिलोसफीज लाइक कम्युनिज्म, कैपिटलिज्म, सोशलिज्म एक्सेट्रा, देयर फॉर्म्स एंड इफेक्ट्स ऑन द सोसाइटी. गॉट इट? नाउ इन दिस पार्ट, ओके, I have already told you that the history, okay, affect our present. So therefore, many historians have increasingly opened their discipline to international, transnational and global connections, and global history has been a part of debates within the IR discipline. It simply means what? When you are getting a question in international relations also, and when you have a good sense of understanding about the world history, so your answer will be more interdisciplinary in its approach. You will be expert in doing linkages of various topics, and then you can write a good answer. Okay, so there is a practical implementation application of all this, and we don't need to forget that. For example, I want to give you some examples. For example, these are the global risks that we face in 2024 and beyond. And look at the list here. There are 10 points given here. In 2 years, these are the 10 points or the global risk. And on the top of this, what we find? Misinformation and disinformation. Top पे क्या है? Misinformation and disinformation. Now look here. For the next 10 years, again, if you look at the list, okay, of what are the most potential threats, here also what has been given? Misinformation and disinformation. Cyber insecurity, right? It means with the development of technology, it has become very easy to promote information. Okay, there is influx of information. That's why I use the word info pandemic for this period. ठीक है, I am teaching world history, but I will not be viral. मैं viral होऊंगा ही नहीं. For the last 5 to 6 years I am teaching, and I bet that no any new student was knowing my name. पहले से किसी को नहीं पता है, ठीक है? क्योंकि क्या हो रहा है? The cyber techniques are being used to promote informations. आप क्या देखोगे, आप तक क्या information पहुंचाया जाएगा? People invest a lot of money in digital marketing. So those who will not do it, they will be lagged behind. Okay, and you will not be able to get what is the right information, right knowledge. तो ये बहुत बड़ा challenge बनता जा रहा है, right? This is the current risk landscape, and here also cyber attacks is one of the most important point. And I have told you earlier that there are two set of informations here. One is misinformation, that is false information, and second is disinformation. So when we give any false information, based on what? Okay, the idea that we are doing this for a particular purpose or agenda, that is disinformation. And this was used when? Okay, in the context of world history, when I will discuss with you rise of Nazism in Germany and rise of fascism in Germany, you will came to know that how this propaganda was promoted. During Cold War period, US and USSR both used this propaganda, right, to project each other as the villain of the humanity. दोनों ने कोशिश की एक दूसरे को मानवता का दुश्मन दिखलाने की. This happened during the Cold War period also. What were used for this purpose? Media was used for this purpose. Newspapers were used for this purpose. जो आप पढ़ रहे थे उस समय, जो आप सुन रहे थे उस समय, between two World War period and Cold War period, each and everything was pre-decided. ठीक है, तो ये सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है, और आज के टाइम में ये प्रॉब्लम और भी ज्यादा खतरनाक होती चली जा रही है. दिस इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग हियर. दूसरा ग्लोबल चैलेंज क्या है? रिस्क ऑफ ग्रोइंग ऑथोरिटेरियनिज्म. दिस हैपेंड बिटवीन द पीरियड ऑफ टू वर्ल्ड वॉर्स. Growing authoritarianism resulted in what? It resulted in development of Nazism and fascism in Germany and Italy. It resulted in development of a communist government in China, and the rights of the people were compromised. And here what has been written, that according to Freedom House, global democracy is eroding. This is in context of 2024. What has been written? That includes countries with long established democracy. In the 2022 report, the organization reveals that global freedom has been declining for the past 16 years, right? This has been given. China, Russia, and other authoritarian countries have gained more power in international system. And why they have gained more power in international system? It has also been written here that the people are losing freedoms in these countries. Even US, the people are losing freedom. So that is the most important thing. Freedom of press has also been compromised. Again, there is a data which says that about 80% of people live in country where press freedom has gone down in these past 5 years. Clear? What has been written here? After peaking at 65, the early 2011, again it shows what? Significant decline in press freedom in countries like China, India, Russia, and Brazil. Journalists and news organizations face threats like violence, imprisonment, lack of funding, and coordinated online attacks and harassment. This all has been the data. Propaganda and misinformation. What is this? A part of misinformation is withholding information. सही information को जानबूझ के अपने पास रखना, उसको आगे deliver नहीं करना. That is what? Propaganda. fake news is much more wide reaching and damaging in the new digital media. And this fake news, this propaganda, this false information has caused a lot of damages, and you will be familiar with this when you will read the topics of world history कि past में क्या हुआ है fake news की वजह से, misinformation और disinformation की वजह से. तो अगर आप ये समझना चाहते हो तो वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री आपको पढ़ना पड़ेगा. सोशल मीडिया हैज रिवॉल्यूशनाइज्ड द वे पीपल ऑब्टेन एंड digest information, and a lot of news is spread through second hand sourcing without the fact checking required in professional publications. And you will find this, that all these things are true in context of, okay. Here also it has been given, showing multiple perspectives is good journalism. Multiple perspectives, obviously this is press freedom, but it has been said that, for example, if I make any statement and this statement is going to break the communal harmony in the society, so what is the role of the media? To bring that information in public domain or to stop that information? What should be the role? But what happens? The media does what? If I make any statement that is very provoking, the media will start displaying this statement from morning to the evening. यही तो काम है. That is what erosion of the institutions like media. Okay, the same has been used in Germany also. That was a part of Nazi propaganda. This information was a part of Nazi propaganda. What has been written here? The Nazis effectively used propaganda to win the support of millions of Germans in democracy. उनको पहले यकीन दिलाया कि we are trying to strengthen the democracy, and what happened? Later it changed into dictatorship. It happened in Germany. It happened in Italy. What has been written? To facilitate prosecution for and ultimate genocide, the stereotypes and images found in Nazi propaganda were not new, but were already familiar with the intended audience. It means this disinformation did what? It convinced the people in the favor of the Nazi government. They wanted to prosecute Jews. They were promoting an anti-Semitic campaign, and now by providing disinformation, by giving misinformation, they were successful in killing millions of Jews. And that was a crime against humanity. Clear? That is the most important point. So what has been written? The Nazis were skilled propagandists. They were using this technique for sophisticated advertising techniques they were using. And here also the most current technology at this time are used to promote such kind of messages. So we should be alert with what is misinformation and disinformation as an aware citizen, right? What has been written here? Hitler created a Ministry of Public Enlightenment. नाम क्या है मिनिस्ट्री का? Ministry of Public Enlightenment and Propaganda, to shape German public opinion and behavior. How this German public opinion and behavior will be shaped? By giving false information, by stopping the information that is true information, and by giving false information with an intention. Okay, that is propaganda. It was used there, right? It was used. Okay, so this, I hope you are relating something. When I will discuss this topic in detail, you will be able to understand these things. ठीक है, अभी इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं जा रहे हैं. The role of newspapers in Germany when Hitler was ruling is also, okay, very important in this context. It has been written that newspapers in Germany printed cartoons that used anti-Semitic means anti-Jews propaganda. After the Germans began World War II with the invasion of Poland in September 1939, the Nazi regime employed propaganda to impress upon German civilians and soldiers that the Jews were not only subhuman but also dangerous enemies of the German Reich. It means a kind of propaganda was promoted where Jews were projected as the enemies of humanity, and this was done by providing false information, by giving disinformation. Okay, this has been written here. Okay, so basically we are not entering into detail. For example, a very good example is given here, that there were concentration camps, there were killing centers, okay, and where the German officials compelled prisoners, many of whom would soon die in the gas chambers, okay, to send postcards to the home stating that they were being treated well and living in good condition. वो जबरदस्ती चिट्ठी लिखवा देते थे कि चिट्ठी लिख दो, हम तुम्हारे घर भेजते रहेंगे 2-4 साल तक, एडवांस में चिट्ठी लिखवा लो कि हाँ हम बहुत मजे में हैं, ठीक है, नई मूवी फ्राइडे को रिलीज हो रही है, हम मूवी देख रहे हैं. और क्या किया? उनको गैस चैम्बर में डाल दिया. और घर पे चिट्ठी भेजते रहे, हाँ भाई तुम्हारे बेटे का अच्छा ट्रीटमेंट चल रहा है, दिस डिड इट, दिस इज व्हाट, गिविंग फॉल्स इन्फॉर्मेशन, फॉल्स इन्फॉर्मेशन दिया ना, ओके। एंड व्हाट हैज हैपेंड हियर, कवर अप एट्रोसिटीज एंड मास मर्डर। न्यूज़पेपर का काम क्या होता है, इन चीजों को बाहर लाना, ओके। एंड दिस इज नॉट ओनली अबाउट नाजीज, this happened during the Cold War period also. US was trying to project USSR as a villain, Russia as a villain, and Russia was trying to project that US is a villain of humanity. हॉलीवुड की फिल्मों में विलेन अधिकतर कहाँ से आता है, आपने देखा होगा रशिया का होता है, अभी भी रशियन होता है, वो रशियन माफिया, ठीक है। हीरो कहाँ का होगा, यूएस का होगा। So there are different set of propaganda. So when we'll discuss this topic, okay, we will discuss in detail, okay. Apart from this, for example, now we are not entering into details here, there are different conflicts at this time in different part of the world, and all these conflicts have a historical background. There are different kind of disputes. This can be territorial dispute, there can be the civil war in different countries, interstate disputes, there is political instability in different part of the world, there is transnational terrorism, and there are sectarian wars. Now look at this Africa region, you will find that sectarian wars and ethnic conflicts are in large numbers. Why it is so that sectarian wars and ethnic conflicts are in large numbers? Because in Berlin Conference, European powers divided and distributed Africa, and they did what, paper partition of Africa. एक टेबल पे बैठे और पेपर पे ही मैप वैप खींच के अफ्रीका को बांट लिया। इसलिए अफ्रीका में इतनी सारी कंट्रीज हैं, they did not care for the ethnic population in these territories of Africa. तो obvious है वो long, for example, partition of India, India Pakistan, okay, Bangladesh, it created challenge for centuries or not, कर दिया ना चैलेंज। तो मॉडर्न इंडिया में इस बात को समझेंगे पार्टीशन कैसे हुआ, ठीक है, और ब्रिटिश ने क्यों ऐसा किया, व्हाई दे डिड सो। So we all will study about this. For example, this is Russian-Ukrainian war. Obviously, it has a historical background. So we need to understand that. So in our classes, first I will discuss with you the basics. Because इससे मैप वैप से इसकी ज़रूरत बाद में पड़ने वाली है। जब हम कॉन्सेप्ट्स को समझ लेंगे, and when we'll start applying these concepts with the latest international developments, then we will be able to understand, ठीक है, तब हम उस बात को समझ पाएंगे। Now this was only a session in which I had to discuss syllabus, I had to discuss strategy. Strategy is what you will attend class lectures, ठीक है, some lectures I will put on social media but not all, okay. So that's why I ask you to join live, clear. I will put 4 or 5 sessions but not all, so join live, okay. And what is the next point here is that from 9:30 to 11:30 p.m, okay, if you will be free, okay, after finishing 1 or 2 chapters, you can ask me, I will solve your doubts or the queries, right? 9:30 to 11:30 p.m, okay. And I will again request you that if there are some sincere students, okay, so you will give my number and they can join our free classes, because I want result, and that's why I am going to enter into many streams. This is not only history, one by one I will be entering into all streams of GS, and that too all free, ठीक है ना? And without any content we will read, no content in our classes, only discussions will be our slogan, because you already have contents, content तो सबके पास है, जितना ज़्यादा discussion करना, opinion build करना, we will do this in our classes, right? And in this way we are going to continue our session, okay. Now if any one of you have any problem, some students of Hindi medium have also joined, so I will very soon start Hindi medium classes, okay. तो अभी आप पढ़ो, इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बट इट विल बी बेटर if you'll come to the Hindi medium classes, because you have to write answers in Hindi. So when I will be delivering lectures in English, so it will be difficult for you. So in Hindi medium classes, I will deliver all the lectures in Hindi. Okay, so that is one point. The session is good. समझ में आया आपको? थोड़ा boring रहा होगा, because I know that this is the first class and we did not discuss a single topic. But फिर भी चलिए, आज के लिए इतना ही, और इतने देर बर्दाश्त कर लिया आप लोगों ने, तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सभी लोगों का। और मैं ऑनलाइन पढ़ाना सीख रहा हूँ, आई एम स्टिल लर्निंग, ठीक है। आई एम इंटॉक्सिकेटेड विथ ऑफलाइन टीचिंग, ठीक है, बट द टाइम हैज़ चेंज्ड एंड आई थॉट दैट नाउ आई विल गो लाइव ओनली, शायद इससे कुछ मेरे में बदलाव आ जाए। अब मैंने ऑफलाइन पढ़ाना छोड़ दिया पूरी तरह से कम्प्लीटली, क्योंकि मुझे ऑनलाइन क्लास पसंद ही नहीं आती थी, है ना। मैंने कहा अब थोड़ा बदलते तरीका को, ठीक है। कोई, हाँ, गिरीश कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे थे, तो वो मैं अमेरिकन वॉर ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस में इन डिटेल्स डिस्कस करूंगा। और देखो, जो भी क्वेश्चन हिस्टोरिकल डिबेट से कुछ होगा ना तो वो मैं फ़ोन पे आपके साथ डिस्कस करूंगा। रीज़न इज दैट वो जीएस वाले बच्चों के लिए हेल्पफुल नहीं होगा। तो बस इतना रीज़न है, बिकॉज आई नो द क्लियर डिमार्केशन लाइन बिटवीन जीएस एंड ऑप्शनल। ठीक है, कि वो एग्जैक्ट डिफरेंस क्या है। नहीं तो ऑप्शनल में भी लोग जीएस पढ़ते हैं, ठीक है, उनको लगता है मैं जीएस ज़्यादा पढ़ा दे रहा हूँ। ऐसा नहीं है, मैं जीएस उतना ही पढ़ा रहा हूँ जितनी आपको नीड है। राइट, गॉट इट। ठीक है, चलिए फिर मिलते हैं अगली क्लास में। आज के लिए इतना ही, कल से क्लास कंप्लीट 2 आवर्स की होगी। ओके ओके, थैंक्स टू ऑल ऑफ यू फॉर ज्वाइनिंग दिस सेशन। ओके ओके, वेलकम 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 यू ऑल।